Hi, everyone. I am just letting you know, I think I'm going to be switching up the schedule a little bit. Um, I noticed that we're only going to have 2 days, basically, that you're going to be in school right before Thanksgiving. So, what I'm probably going to do for those 2 days is I am going to do a review and on Monday, and then Tuesday I'm going to be doing a test. So that's what I'm going to be doing, not this coming week, but the following week. So the week of Thanksgiving break, that's what I'm planning on doing. About your guys' tests, if you're online, I'm not sure how I'm going to be getting that to you, but we will be working on that shortly. Um, and I'll let you know how I'm going to give that to you. It's going to be, you might have to write it down on paper, and then just submit me the paper with all your work shown on it. So I could do that as well. So make sure that you turn in pictures of your test so you can get the points for that. However, this next week, because I'm going to do that next in 2 weeks, I'm now only going to be posting. I'm going to go into chapter 4 now. So 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4 is going to be for this coming week. So it is multiplication of decimals. So that is what we're going to be starting on, starting right now. So I'm going to flip the camera around. All right, so when it comes to multiplication of decimals, we have already discussed this when we are multiplying, that if you're going to make it bigger, you are going to be moving it outward. So that is what I want you to write that down. If you're making a number larger by multiplying, how you do that is you take your decimal and you move it to the right. So it's still the same exact thing. When you are making it smaller, you will either see it like 1/10. Also, there is a decimal of 1/10, which is like this. Remember that? If you added on, if you found the ones and you added on zeros, that's saying 1/10. Or if you have 100th and you made that into a decimal, it would have looked like this. So do keep that in mind. If it's smaller, like showing one of these two or these two, you're actually, remember, this means you are dividing. So you're actually going to make your number smaller. So how you make it smaller is you take your decimal and you go to the left with it when it is getting smaller. All right, so it says Cindy is combining equal size rectangles for a different fabric patterns to make postage stamp quilts. Each rectangle has an area of 75 hundredths of a square inch. If she uses 1,000 rectangles to make that quilt, what will the area of the quilt be? So here we go. Guys, what this means, remember when we were talking about this in chapter 1, 1,000 is actually 10 to the third power. Remember that each place value is worth 10. So in this case, since we're going 1,000 times, it is actually, if you look at the zeros, it's telling you you're going to be moving it not just one time, not 2 times, but 3 place values larger. So if you look here, it's saying, okay, if you take like 75 hundredths and you times it by 1, you're still going to get your 75 hundredths. But if you're going to times it by 10, you're going to make it bigger by 1 place. So remember, if you're making it bigger, you're going to move that decimal to the right. So it was right here. You're going to move it to the right just one place. But now it's saying, all right, now add on one more place. So if you're going to do it times 100, that is 2 places. So if it was right here and you move it 2 places, now it is just 75. And then if it is timesing by 1,000, you are going to have to move it 1, 2, and then 3, and there's nothing there. So I'm going to rewrite that here so you guys can see that. So if I'm going to move this 3 places because it said 1,000, I'm going to move it this way, but then there is nothing here. So what I need to do is I need to put a placeholder there. So it's actually 750 square inches. So that is what it is. So it says, as you are multiplying by increasing powers of 10, how does the position of the decimal point change in the product? You can say, well, as it's going to increase, the decimal will just keep going to the right. So in this case, I want you to write as the powers of 10 increase, the decimal moves to the right. All right, so then here it says place value patterns can also be used to find the product of a number and decimals, like this and this. So guys, what this one is saying, if you find the ones place, this is actually saying 1/10. Remember, 1/10 is keeping that in mind. That is actually making it smaller because you're dividing. So you're actually making it smaller, and then by 10 is by 1 place. So smaller by 1 place. And then here, this one is showing 1/100. So this is 100th, which again is making it smaller. And if it is to 100, it is 2 places smaller. So, all right, here we go. It says Jorge is making a scale model of the Willis Tower in Chicago for a theater set. The height of the tower is 1,353 feet. If the model is 100th of the actual size of the building, how tall is the model? So what it wants you to do here says, what fraction of the actual size of the building is the model? Well, the model is going to be 100th of the size. And then it says, write that fraction as a decimal. All right, so we were just talking about that. If you know where the ones place is, which is right before the decimal, and you add on zeros, 1 needs to be in the hundredths place. So the 1 needs to be right here. So then this would be a 0. So therefore this would be 100th and that's the decimal mode of it. So this one, it just says if you just times it by 1, this is what it's going to be. Now it says now you're going to times it by 1/10. Remember, this is saying 1/10. So you're actually going to be making it smaller by a place. So remember, when we're making it smaller, we have to go to the left with that decimal. And since it was just by 10, you're just going to move it once. Well, now here it is showing 100th. So that means how many places are you going to make it smaller? It's going to be, and you can look at the hint of looking at the zeros, it is 2 places smaller. So if the decimal starts at the back, if it's not given to you, the decimal is always at the back of that number, which we have talked about. And now we're going to be moving it in 2 places. So then your answer is going to be 13 53 hundredths. So therefore, the model is going to be 13 53 hundredths. feet tall. Then it says, as you are multiplying by decreasing powers of 10, how does the position of the decimal point change in the product? So it wants to know what's going on as you're decreasing. Well, what you can say is, as the powers decrease, the decimal moves to the left. All right, so then just remember that as it's decreasing, it's going to go to the left. All right, so then the next part of this, again, keep in mind that if you are timesing, you are going to the right. If you are dividing, you're actually going to move your decimal to the left to make it smaller. All right, so here we go. 3 friends are selling items at an arts and craft fair. Josie makes $45.75 selling jewelry. Mark makes 100 times as much as Josie makes at selling his custom furniture, and Carlos makes a tenth of the money that Mark makes by selling his paintings. How much money does each friend make? So it told you that Josie is $45.75. Now, to find out what Mark made, he makes 100 times as much as Josie. So remember, this is Josie, and then he makes 100 times that. So let's figure that part out. Now remember, if you're just going to times it by 1, that is $45.75. Now, if you're going to times it by 10, you are going to be making it bigger because 10 times means 1 place. So we're going to make it 1 place larger. So therefore, I'm going to move that decimal out 1. So it would look like this. However, is that a correct way to say it in money? No, it is not, because it is missing a placeholder of a 0. So therefore, now that makes sense. It would be $457.50 for just times 10 of Josie. But it didn't say just times 10. It actually said times 100. So that actually means 2 places is what you're going to be moving that decimal. So start here, move it out 2 places. Now the new decimal will be right there. So that would be $4,575. And that is the answer for Mark. Now, for Carlos, in order to find Carlos, we have to go back in to the problem. It says he makes a tenth of Mark. So 1/10 of Mark. Well, Mark made this, so we are going to put that down. So this was Mark. All right, so now they want you to do it 1 step at a time. If you just did 1 times what Mark did, it would come out to be $4,575, where that would be your decimal. But if you are going to do a tenth, you are actually, if you're going to do a decimal, I'm going to change this to a decimal. A tenth in decimal form, that means you're actually going to be making it smaller. So I'm going to move that decimal, which is right back here. Remember, if you're making it smaller, you are going to be moving it in 1 place. So now it is 457 decimal and then a 5, which doesn't look correct because that's not really the way that we say in money terms. So you have to put a 0 at the end. So therefore, this is Carlos. So therefore, Mark makes $4,575 And then Mark makes $457.50. All right, now this one is just saying that you are going to be completing the pattern here. Now, remember with these type of ones, remember you just do 1, and then this is how many zeros you add on, which is none. So therefore, a 1 with no zeros is just 1. So 1 times itself is always going to be that self number, which in this case is 4 78 hundredths. All right, now this one just says a 1 with 1 0. So that is truly just saying 10. So we are going to be making it bigger by 10. Remember, each place is 10 times. So in other words, this means you are going to be moving it just one place bigger. So to make it one place bigger, I'm going to move that decimal over 1. So now it's going to be 47 and 8/10. Now this one is going to tell us that we're going to be moving it twice, 2 places. So this is 2 places bigger. So therefore, in that case, we're going to be moving it to the right, not just 1 place, but 2. So it is now going to be 478, and the decimal will be in the back. And then this one says you are going to be moving it 3 places larger. So if I rewrite it right below, so I have some space, I'm going to move it to the right 3 places. So it's going to actually be right here. So then I need to put a placeholder. So that is actually 4,780. All right, now this one, just be very careful of these decimal modes. 38 times 1 is 38. Now it says 38 times. Now remember what that means. That means 1/10. So actually you're making it smaller by 1 place. So in this case, 1 place, if you need to write that to remind you to move that decimal. So where does the decimal start on 38? If it's not given to you, remember it's always in the back. And now it says 1 place in. So that would be 3 and 8/10. All right, now this one, remember this one is saying 1 out of 100, 100th. So in other words, you're making it smaller by not just 1 place, but 2 places. So I'm going to just remind myself I need to move my decimal smaller, which means to the left 2 places. So where do I start on 38? Where does my decimal start? It always starts at the back if it's not given to you. And now I'm going to move it in 2 places. So now this is no longer the decimal. It will be right here. So if you write that, this is what it looks like, but always put a placeholder before that decimal. So it is 38 hundredths. All right, now this one, same thing goes. It says if it is, you're not moving it at all is basically what 10 to the 0 power is. You're not moving it any places. So therefore that decimal will stay the same. This one says, okay, you're going to be moving it 10 to the first power. That means 1 place bigger. So as long as it's not a decimal, that means that you're making it bigger, because what is 10 to the first power? It is a 1 with 1 0. So therefore it is saying just 10, not a 10th. So you're making it bigger. So if I make it bigger, all I'm doing is I'm just shifting my decimal to the right 1 place, and that's what my number will be. Then here it says it is a 1 with 2 zeros. So that is 100. So I'm going to be making this number bigger by 2 places by moving the decimal to the right 2 places. Now my new number is 1,704. But now I got to be moving it to the right now 3 places. All right, so to start. I need to know where it is. So here it is, and now I'm going to move it to the right 3 places. 1, 2, and there's my 3. So here is my decimal, so that means that needs to be a placeholder. So my new number is 17040, and then my decimal will be at the back. Now remember, every 3 from the back needs a comma if the decimal is right here. So therefore it's 17,040. So the decimal point moves 1 place to the blank for each increasing power of 10. So which way did we move it? As we are getting larger, we are moving it to the right. All right, now let's go ahead and do more of these. Again, this one, it says what is just 3 and 1900ths times 1. In that case, it's just, it remains itself. This one says, how about if you make it 1 place bigger? Well, remember, bigger means you are going to go to the right. So therefore, I'm going to move it out, because remember, it's like $3.19. If I want to make it bigger, I have to be moving it in. So then it would be like $31.90. So this is going to be like that. Now this one is saying 2 places, because remember, how many zeros kind of tells you it's 2 places larger. So therefore I'm going to move it to the right 2 places. So now my decimal is at the end of that, so it'll be 319. And now this one, I'm going to rewrite that number, and now this is telling me to move it. You can look at those zeros to help you. It is saying 3 places larger. So 1, 2, and then 3. So now I need a 0 here to hold that place. So really, this is my number. My decimal's back here, so that means 1, 2, 3, and then a comma. So that would be 3,190. All right, next. This is saying, okay, now times it by 10 to the 0 power. That means a 1 with no zeros. In other words, it would just be 1. Or you can think of it also as just saying it's going to move no places. So in this case, if you have 45 and 6/10, and then you move it nowhere, it's going to be the same. Here it is saying times 10 to the first power. Remember, 10 means a 1 with 1 0. So it's just saying a 10. You can also think of it as just looking at your exponent for a quick way. You're moving it bigger by 1 place. So therefore, 1 place larger. Again, if you're making it larger, you are going to the right. So 1 place to the right by 1 place is 456. If you want to put that decimal at the end, you may certainly do that. That is fine. All right, now it's saying now take this number and now make it bigger by 2 places. So we're going to be pushing it out, not 1 place, but 2 places. So in that case, I need a 0 as a placeholder. So before 5, 6, 0, and then a decimal would be there. And move it every 3 from the back needs a comma. All right, and then this one, I'm just going to rewrite this number. Here's my number. It is telling me I'm going to go bigger by 3 places. So remember, to go bigger, I need to go this way 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. And now I put in placeholders. So my new number is this, and then 1, 2, 3, comma. So it'll be 45,600. All right, now on this one, real quick, it's just saying timesing it by 1. Remember, where is that decimal to start off with if it is not given to you? So if a number is not giving you your decimal, remember it's always at the back. So it'll be 6,391 because it's telling you to move nowhere. Now this one, this is saying 1/10. Now, if you need that visual, 1/10 looks like this. Now remember, this is not just a division bar, not just a fraction bar, it's also a division bar. So keep that in mind. So actually when you're dividing, you're making your number smaller. So keep in mind that you're actually making it smaller, and it's by 10. So that means one place. So therefore my decimal is at the back. It's at the back right here. I'm going to make it smaller by one place. So I got to push it in one. So now my new number is 639 and 1/10. Now this decimal is again showing us 1 out of 100. So that's 1/100th. Now remember, 100 has 2 places. So we're going to be moving it 2 places, but remember this is dividing. So we are making it smaller by 2 places. So therefore I'm going to be pushing my decimal in not just once, but twice. So it would be 63 and 91/100ths. That makes it look really confusing. Okay, so that's not even supposed to be there. All right, so now we're going to go on to the next part. This one says n times this is going to equal this. So we have to figure out what is going on. Well, what it started with was it started here, and now it moved over here. So remember, when you're going this way, you are making it bigger. So we know that we're going to be making it bigger. We just don't know how many places we are going to make it bigger. So blank times $3.25 is going to be $325. So in other words, what I have my students do is just look, we already know we're going this way, so we're making it bigger. And then this is not 1, but 2 places. So what is 2 places? What number is letting us move 2 places? So if you look over here, which one is making us, allowing us to go 2 places? This one only made us go 1 place, but this one is making us go 2 places. So therefore it would have to be 100. All right, now this one is saying, oh, a 10th, keep that in mind, a 10th of what is going to be 89 and 5/10. All right, now here's the thing. They gave us the answer. We have to find one of the factors to this. So remember when we had these, we've had these a lot. In order to do this, we actually have to do the opposite of dividing by 10. So the opposite of dividing by 10 is timesing by 10. So I'm going to take this number and times it by 10. So remember, when you're timesing by 10, you are making it bigger. So you're going to be moving it to the right, and it's only one place. So I'm going to move it to the right 1 place. So my number should be 895. So there would be my decimal. Now to check it, you can go, okay, 895, and making it a place smaller should be this number. And was it when we redid it? Yes, it was. So therefore my number was correct in saying that it was 895. All right, next. This one is saying 10 to the 3rd power. Remember, 10 to the 3rd power means 3 places bigger, or 1,000, times what number equals 360. All right, so in this case, 1,000 times something is going to give us this number. So they're giving us the answer. So in order to find one of the factors, we have to do the opposite of this. So what is the opposite of timesing by 1,000? It is actually dividing by 1,000, or doing 1,000th of it. So this way, that means we're going to make it smaller by 3 places. So where is this number to begin with? Where's that decimal? If it is not given to you, remember, is at the end, and then move it in 3 places, 1, 2, and 3. So therefore, this is the number. And remember, a proper way to write this is always have 0 showing that there's 0 holes. So you could have kept it like this, or you could have also had a 0 because you're not rounding. So you can have that 0 if it's not a rounding problem. All right, now here it says a glacier in Alaska moves about 29 and 9/10 meters a day. About how much farther would it move in 1,000 days than it would move in 100 days? All right, so they're saying this is what happens per day, but then they want to know how much will it move 1,000 days versus 100 days. So let's first take this number and we're going to compare them. First, we were supposed to find how about 1,000 days bigger. What would 1,000 days do? And then what would 100 days do to this? So first of all, 1,000 means you're going to be making it larger. Remember how many zeros is kind of the trick or the hint as to how many places. It is 3 places larger. So I'm going to find that decimal and on this number, which is right here, and I'm going to move it 3 places larger. So therefore, this is going to be this number. My decimal's at the back, so every 3 needs a comma, so that would be 29,900. And now this one is saying just making it 2 places bigger. So here is my number, and I'm going to make it 2 places bigger. 1, 2. So it is actually, my decimals at the back now, so I'm going to line up those decimals. All right, so in this case, it says about how much farther would it move in 1,000 days than 100 days. So you're actually finding the distance between these two because it wants to know how much farther it moved this for 1,000 days than 100 days. So we have to find the difference. Remember, difference means answer to a subtraction problem. So I am going to go ahead and subtract. Remember, when you are subtracting, you need to make sure those decimals are lined up. So 0 minus 0 is 0. Can you have 0 cookies and give away 9? No, you cannot. So you have to come over and borrow. What is 10 minus 9 is 1. Then can you have 8 cookies and give away 9? No, you do not have enough, so you have to go over and borrow. This is now going to be an 8. This will now be 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. And then 8 minus 2, can you do that? Yes, you can. So that would be a 6. And 2 minus nothing is 2. So from the back, every 3 need a comma. So therefore, it is 26,910 meters farther. So that is your answer. All right, next. This one is just saying choose whether it is a yes or no, whether the product is correct. So they're saying this is the number you're going to start off with, and then you're going to make it bigger by 1 place. Should this be your answer? Yes or no? So that is what it's saying. So we are going to be doing this together right now. Actually, I want you to do this on your own. So please pause the video and try this on your own. All right, so if you pause the video, which you should have to see what this would have came out to be, if this was your original number and then you made it bigger by 1 place, remember when you're making it bigger, you go this way, and then 10 is just 1 place. So therefore, you're going to move it in 1 place. It should have been 1, 8, and 1/10. And is that showing it? No, it is not. So this is a no statement. All right, they're saying that if you take this and you make it bigger by 100, you should get 33. So remember, 100 is telling you how many places to move it. Remember, that is 2 places. And when we're making it larger, we are going to the right. So I'm going to make this bigger by 2 places, and my decimal would be right here. And that is the same as saying 33. So therefore, this is a yes statement. This one is saying, okay, now make this number bigger by 2 places, and it should be just a 5. So let's see if this is true. Remember, this is 2 places. I'm going to make it bigger. And it is a yes statement. It did make 5. All right, so then if I had this and I made it bigger by not just 1 place, not 2, but 3 places, I should get 70. Let's see if that's true. So 1, 2, 3. And this actually should be 700. So this is a no statement. Next, they're saying take this number and make it bigger by 1 place. And it's saying it should come out to be this number. Is that a true statement? No, it is not. They're not the same. All right, so now we are going to go on to the next thing. It said Kirsten is making lanyards for a convention. She needs to make 1,000 lanyards and knows that one lanyard only uses 1 7/75 feet of cord. How much cord will Kirsten need? So it says you could use that. This was her work that she ended up doing. She went and times it by 1 and got itself. And then she did this and got this, and so on. And then it says, find and describe her error. So to be honest, I think it would be a lot easier if you actually did this on your own. So you're going to times this by, this is for 1, but she wanted to make 1,000. So that means you're going to be making it larger by 3. So remember, when you're making it bigger, you're going to be moving the decimal outward. So I'm going to take this decimal, I'm going to go outward. That's 1, that's 2, and that is 3. So therefore, her answer should have been 1,750 feet. All right, so what was she doing wrong? So if you look, you can see what she was doing is all that she was doing was just adding the zeros in the middle of that number instead of behind it. She wasn't moving the decimal. So therefore, what you could say is, what was she doing wrong? She was adding zeros in the middle of the number. So see how she just put 10 at the front. This one was just 100, and then the 75, and then 1,000, and then the 7/500. So she was just moving that instead of moving the decimal. All right, so now this is where your homework comes in. I'm going to be doing some with you as always. So remember, when you are making it larger, you are going to go to the right. Remember, this is bigger. You're going to go to the right. And then when you are making your number smaller, for example, you could see 1/10, or this, the decimal mode of 1/10, is making it smaller. And then where you could see it 100th, or in decimal mode, this is showing 100th. So when you're making it smaller, you're actually going to be moving your decimal to the left. All right, so here we go. This one says, okay, first do 30 times 1. 30 times 1 is 30. Now it says, all right, now do 1/10 of that. Remember, this is saying 1/10. Remember, 1/10 means you are making it smaller. So 1/10 means making it smaller. Remember the 10 is saying just one place smaller. So where does your decimal start? It starts at the end, and then you make it one place smaller. So you're going to move it in one place, and then that would just be 3. You could write it like this, or if you want to make that decimal more clear, you could write it like that, because it is not rounding, so it's okay to put zeros after these numbers. Now this one is saying 100th. So you can make this smaller by not just one place, but 2 places smaller. So I'm going to go smaller. Remember, smaller means go to the left. And then this is 2 places smaller. So to start off, where is my decimal on 30? It was at the end. And now I'm going to go 2 places smaller. So 1, 2. This is going to be my new decimal place. So, and then proper way is to have a whole number there, which in this case there is none, so it will be a 0. All right, here, remember 10 to the 0 place just means a 1 with no zeros, or you could also look at it as you're going to be moving no places. So 1 times 23 hundredths will remain 23 hundredths. Now this one is saying a 1 with a 10 to the first power means a 1 with 1 0, which is also saying 10. Or you could just think of it as that exponent is telling you just moving it one place. Bigger. So to make it bigger, I'm going to be moving it out 1. So my new number is going to be 2 3/10. Now this one is saying making it bigger by 2 places. So if I do that, it would be 23, and my decimal will be at the end. And then this one says, okay, make this bigger by 3 places, 1, 2, and 3. So that would be 230. All right, and then I'm going to do one more. Remember, this says 390 times 1. Well, that means you move it nowhere, so that would be the same. Then it says now take this number and times it by a 10th. Now remember, a 10th means making it smaller. So remember when you're making it smaller, because this is a not just a fraction bar, but it's a division bar. So when you divide, you're making your number smaller. So when you're making it smaller, you need to be pushing it to the left, that decimal. So where does the decimal start on 390 if it's not given to you? Remember, if it is not given to you, it is always at the end. So now we're going to move it to the left one place, and now it's going to be 39, and then a decimal, and then you can put a 0 after it if you would like. As this is saying that this is 1 out of 100, so 100th. So we're actually making it smaller by 2 places. So where does the decimal start? It starts at the end, so I move it back 2, so that would be 3 and 90 hundredths, or you could have just said 3 and 9/10 and dropped off that 0. That is fine. So you could have said one of those 2 things. All right, so on your homework tonight, you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Do go back into the previous problems if you are having trouble with this. We've done lots and lots of problems on the lessons. So do go back and look at some examples on the lessons if you need help there. All right, number 11, we're going to do together. It says 3 friends are selling items at a bake sale. May makes $23.25 selling bread. Inez sells gift baskets and makes 100 times as much as May. And Joe sells pies and makes 1/10 of what Inez makes. How much money does each friend make? All right, so I'm going to say M for, well, actually I can say May. I'm going to say Inez, and then I'm going to say Joe. Okay, these are our 3 people. So it does tell us what May makes. May makes $23.25. All right, now it says Inez makes 100 times as much as May. So remember, this is May, and then I'm going to times it by 100. So when you times it by 100, remember you are making it bigger by 2 places. So I'm going to make it bigger. Remember, when you're making it bigger, you need to move that decimal to the right. But since it is 100, it's not just one place. That would only be 10. It is 2 places. So now my new number is $2,325. And then it says Joe sells pies and makes a 10th. So a 10th, if you want to make it that decimal mode, or if you like to look at it in fraction form, that is fine. So remember, a 10th of a Nez. Well, this was a Nez. So 2,325, and then the decimal was at the back. So if we are going to make it a 10th, remember that means dividing, and then a 10th means by 1 place. So we're making it smaller by 1 place. So smaller by 1 place, I got to move that decimal in. So I'm going to move that decimal in 1 place, and that is 232.5, which is a really weird way to say it in money. So to make this true, you need to put a 0 at the end as a placeholder for that, the cents. So therefore, Joe makes $232.50. You are not going to do 12. Okay, so then we're going to go to the back. On the back, I just want you to do 1, 2, 3. Don't worry about 4, but I want you to do 5 and 6. Okay, and that is all for 4.1. All right, I'm going to pause it. I'll see you guys later.